We made £5 on our very first car flip with a budget of £750.
Or so we thought.
We found the car and tried to flip it for profit. Follow along to see what went wrong.
Our first mistake was the car we chose.
We spent hours every single day searching for a car.
Weeks went by and we started losing hope.
Car after car, and each had their own problems.
Costs are too high, mechanical issues. Living in London meant it had to be petrol.
Sellers don't respond, too much bodywork damage, location too far or untrustworthy.
Until we stumbled upon this beauty.
It had everything.
A good profit margin, it was within our budget, and a sunroof.
We checked Auto Trader to see how much it goes for, and to our surprise it was selling for over £200, and the listing on Facebook was only £800. What could go wrong?
We messaged the seller instantly.
Hi mate, is this still available? Would love to come over for a viewing.
Postcode.
Are you available tomorrow?
Yes.
Perfect, what time is good for you?
After 9. Postcode Unit 4.
After 9 a.m. or p.m.
Okay.
The next day.
Hi mate, on the way now, should be arriving 11:20-ish. Is that alright?
Okay.
Next thing you know, we were on our way.
After test driving the car, we started the negotiations.
30 seconds later, we agreed to take it for £700. We are sick at negotiating.
After putting the Renault in our name, buying road tax and insurance, we drove it straight home.
We noticed that the alloy badges were removed, so we took a trip down to Screwfix to get some screws to attach them.
The next step was taking the car to the car wash, and then we headed straight to the car park to take pictures.
What the fuck was that, Fred?
This was our second mistake.
One of the most important things when selling a car, which we learned the hard way, was taking good quality pictures in good lighting.
See, at night, the cover photo is less appealing and noticeable. This makes buyers less likely to click on the listing, and henceforth, we didn't get much interest on the car. So we listed the car on Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree and Instagram. By the way, follow our Instagram.
Weeks went by with very little interest and a lot of time wasters. We started losing hope in this car even being sold.
This is how our average conversation went.
Our messenger was also flooded with scammers.
Disclaimer, please be aware of Facebook scammers.
They can be sellers or buyers.
The sellers list their cars for dirt cheap, way below the market value, and ask you to put a deposit down before viewing the car. Long story short, you send them the money and you never hear from them again.
An easy way to spot these scammers is by looking at their profile. It's usually a newly opened account with lots of cars posted, with lots of different backgrounds, meaning they don't own any of the cars and are stolen from other people's real listings.
This is the most common scam, but there are plenty more.
The sellers will ask you to do a trade and add a fake marketplace link and offer to pay cash for any differences in price. Disaster struck. The car was sat for a while without being driven, so I decided to take it for a long drive to make sure there were no underlying issues or issues that may have developed from it sitting so long. I entered the dual carriageway and the power steering suddenly stopped working, causing me to pull into the railing on the side of the road. Luckily, I was able to pull it back before causing too much damage. I called my business partner, as you should always do in these situations, and got it recovered back home. After examining the car, we found the steering fluid was drained. We filled up the car with fluid and the problem was fixed.
After this, we cleaned the car as much as we could, researched a good location, took out some insurance to drive there, and took some more pictures.
We planned to go during the day, but once we got to the location, it turned to night.
We relisted the new pictures and decided to boost on Facebook Market and Gumtree.
The boost worked and we started getting a lot more offers.
We then decided to try our luck on Auto Trader.
We had the listing up for 2 weeks with no engagement.
On the final day of the Auto Trader listing, we got a call and we got faith again. We boosted on Facebook again because we had a lot more engagement with the boost, but still not serious buyers.
Something had to change to get this car sold.
We decided to do a full polish and a deep interior clean with a water vacuum to make sure the car looked amazing in the pictures.
We took out more insurance and picked a better location to take photos during the day.
Pictures were taken, the price was updated and the description was revamped.
We listed with a boost and the offers flooded in.
People wanted to come for a viewing and it got exciting again.
We set up a viewing with someone after talking to a bunch of buyers and we waited for them.
One eternity later.
They never turned up
So we went back to waiting.
and waited some more.
And some more.
Until one fateful day,
We had interest from a potentially serious buyer.
we were ecstatic. After months of viewings, we finally had a lead.
So we explained to the buyer any issues beforehand and arranged a time to meet and a day for us to meet.
He came on time, which was always appreciated, and started to look around the car.
After a few questions about the car, he was ready to test drive.
He was a new driver, so his clutch control was horrible. We had to ask him not to over-rev the engine, which could cause damage to the car.
After a 10-minute test drive, he was happy with the car and we thought he was ready to make a deal. But he wanted to go home to think about it.
We then realised he was a time waster.
To add salt to the wound, he offered us £750 for the car when it was priced at £1,500.
We had respectfully declined the generous offer and aimed to find a new buyer.
At this point, we were ready to sell for cost.
We were struggling and came to the conclusion that £1,200 would be our last price cut.
This way, we would have some cushion around the discussions and be able to sell for at least cost. Our prayers were answered. 10 days later, another buyer came to view the car with his friend.
After answering a bunch of their questions, they took it for a test drive.
The buyer's friend turned out to be a Formula 1 driver and decided to rags out the car.
We reminded him that he hadn't bought the car yet and to drive it a bit more carefully.
Negotiations started, and as expected, with any sale, the buyer wanted a much lower price than listed.
After a back and forth of numbers being thrown, we closed the deal at £1,000.
At this point, they couldn't buy insurance, so we took them home as a favour.
After the sale, we got a few more questions about basic things with the car, like the code on the radio and how the steering lock worked, which we were more than happy to answer.
One happy customer later, we got our very first review. Now, you must be thinking, the video title is how we made £5 on this car flip. You're on.
Initially, we thought we lost money on this car, but after we reviewed our funds from the road tax and removed the screws and polisher from the cost,
We made a whole £5 after 4 months of hard work and constant stress.
so now you know how not to sell a car.
Our next car will be much more profitable. So subscribe and follow us on all socials to stay in the loop.